The portion of the install kit that we're doing right now is the video, which will show you how to remove your old stirrup buckles and install your new stirrup buckles. The tools specifically that you will need, although no specialty tools are needed, you can find these tools around your house, or worst case scenario, you could ask your neighbor to borrow these tools. So the first thing that you will need is an ultra fine point Sharpie to locate the indentation that you'll put in the head of your rivet to drill it out. The next tool that you will need is a center punch to make that mark where you will begin drilling the head of your rivet out. To substitute that, you could use a common nail or a drywall screw. You just need to make a mark in the head of your rivet to begin drilling that out. The next thing you will need is a hammer. This is a ball peen hammer that I use, but you can use a common hammer of any sort that you probably have in your garage. The next thing you'll need, and this is a specialty tool that I use to pry off the head of the rivet if it doesn't come off easily. And a substitute for that would be just a common screwdriver with a flat point, something just to lift the head of that rivet off. And we'll get into that when we actually demonstrate how to remove the rivet. The next thing you will need is something to set the burr onto the rivet. This is a tool that I've had for decades. I bought this tool at Tandy Leather, and it's for driving the burr onto the rivet. This is another tool that does the same thing, and this is an Osborne, and it's also used to just drive the burr onto the rivet and finish the shaft of the rivet once the burr has been set. To substitute something for that, this is a 1/4-inch drive socket, and the hole on the end of the socket is smaller than the burr of the rivet, so this works just fine to drive that burr onto the rivet. The next thing you will need is something to cut the excess of the shaft of the rivet off once you have it driven on. For that, you could just use a common pair of side cutters to cut that shaft off, a pair of needle nose pliers, which also has cutting ability on them. If you have horses, you've probably got an old pair of hoof nippers lying around. This works best and requires the least amount of effort to remove the excess shaft that is left on the rivet. So these things are common things you can find around the house or borrow from your neighbor. You will also need a variable speed drill. This is a cordless variable speed drill, but a corded drill will work just fine. This is a piece of steel that I use to set my rivets once I have the rider safety buckle tongue installed in the stirrup leather and fender assembly. And of course, as always, if you have any issues, feel free to call me at any time, 405-361-7492.